Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lapsed Comic Fan. I'm Steve, and today I'm talking how to get back into comics. So there's many ways to do this, but first I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory on why I stopped reading and what brought me back. So in about 1997-98, I had been living on my own for about a year, and I didn't bring any of my stuff from home. Just put it this way, it wasn't a good leaving, and my parents had got rid of a lot of my stuff, so I didn't have a lot of my comics. They were either donated or just given away, Salvation Army, or thrown away, stuff like that. And I got really upset whenever I tried to come back and get my things, and there was nothing there. And I was like, son of a gun. It's not like I had a lot, but I had stuff that I really liked and things that I read a lot over and over again. And after that, life went on, and I put my money towards other things, and some of the stories in the early 2000s were like meh. To me, it wasn't that great. But I would say during the advent of the MCU with the first Iron Man movie, it got me interested again, and I didn't start buying anything, but I would go to my public library in Pittsburgh, and they had like trades and hardbacks there and stuff you could read, and I was reading certain things. I would pick up like Justice League or whatever they had that was decent and more mainstream, because I always liked certain adventures like with Batman or Superman, Spider-Man, whatever they had that was mainstream. And when I got married, my wife was into regular books, regular reading, and I never really read regular books, and we started reading different fantasy series and stuff like that. And then the MCU came along, and I didn't know how it was going to do. When I saw the commercials, I was like, looks like they put a decent amount of money into it, because Iron Man himself looked great. And Robert Downey Jr. had been, basically kicked out of Hollywood for drugs and, basically blackballed. And this was like his comeback movie. And then a week went by after it was released, and you just heard nothing but great things. And back then, superhero movies, if they made $100 million, it was just like incredible. And this one made like 3 or 4, I can't remember the exact number, and it was a giant hit. And it made me want to start reading a little bit here and there. So I didn't have the money. I wasn't working a really good job like I am now, and I was going online and finding any which way I could see if I could read stuff, but it became a hassle. It just became a hassle because the late 80s, early 90s kid in me wanted that book in my hands. And I started thinking, maybe I could do this. I'll put aside a little bit of money. I would go downtown Pittsburgh. There was a couple of comic shops there, and I would pass them by, and they had stuff like, on Free Comic Book Day, but they also had like a box where the covers were ripped off, and you could take them for free. And I was getting some that way, but they were all old. They were all older, so it wasn't like I was reading anything current. So, come to about 4 years ago, I started, a lot of time lapsed. I'll end up telling that story one day, but just let's say Steve liked to party. Let's just say that, okay? It's been about 3 years since I've been reading steadily, but it was that year that Infinity War dropped that I started really picking it back up. And there had been a couple of runs that I read in between there. My brother-in-law, ex-brother-in-law, he had a roommate who was very into comics, and he used to leave stuff out on his coffee table, and he would let us read or whatever and take them. And he set out a run of Avengers and New Avengers, and it was by Jonathan Hickman. I never heard of him. And he was like, you can read this. This is really good. And my first inkling was, someone from the 90s and 80s, you're like, the Avengers? They wrote good comics for them? Because that was like the Castaways. Like, they were popular, certain people, but they put them together and their comics sucked back in the day. To me, they sucked. The majority of people thought they sucked, the comics. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And to my dismay, it was amazing. And I ended up getting the whole run. My Volume 1 is being borrowed by my nephew. Same with my Volume 2 of Fantastic Four. Hickman became one of my favorite writers. And I wanted to buy everything he did because everything tied into each other. So when I started really buying comics again, all of this stuff right here was probably bought in about 4 months. And I'll tell you how. So what I did, how I got back into comics, and once I started buying, it was over. It was basically over. I was hooked again. So what I did was first went to Amazon. There's always Amazon. And how do you start? Like, do you start at the beginning all the way back at Batman #1 in Detective Comics 27? Do you start with the Stan Lee X-Men? Like, what do you do? Or do you skip to the Chris Claremont, giant size X-Men? What, like, Spider-Man, Amazing Fantasy, all that. How do you do it? Well, what I did was this. The advent of YouTube and good comic reviewers like Comics Explained, Comic Pop, some people like Comic Storian. I know he does a good job. This is not my... I like him, but sometimes he does comics that I don't care for. But there's nothing wrong with him himself. I don't know the guy, but I started watching those channels. And usually how it started for me is I would pick a character. It's like, I like Batman. So I'd start looking up information on Batman. And I would start looking to see what has Batman been doing since I stopped reading. Or if you've never read Batman before, start looking on channels and start Googling, the top 10 Batman stories or Batman runs or the top 5 Spider-Man runs. You do the things like that. Google will be your friend. Usually, most of the time, the lists will be almost the same. Maybe not in the same order, but a lot of them have the same book, at least on their top 10 lists. So doing that is a good way. Also, if you want to start reading comic books because you like the MCU movies or you like the DCEU movies, that's a good way to do things too. So you look and you Google like Superman, top 10 Superman story arcs, or top 10 Superman graphic novels. Graphic novels are a good way to start because it'll be the whole book encapsulated into one thing. Comixology, the digital platform, that's also another way to go. That way you can pick and choose which ones you want to get, because not all the time are you going to be able to find a single issue from 1960 if you're into that. Not every time are you going to be able to find the whole trade run. Like me, when I had to get Volume 2 of Hickman's Fantastic Four, the complete edition, for some reason it's out of print and people were asking like $200. And I'm like, you're insane. I got the first one for $6. I got the third one for $4. If you have an Ollie's near you, the store Ollie's, that is a great source for comic books. All these Batmans I got from Ollie's. They were like $3 a piece. $3 and $4 a piece. This one right here is $4.99. $2.99. So there's those type of places. Go to flea markets. They always have someone that has comics. If you have a comic book store, like I said, go in there, see which ones they have for free. Just start grabbing as much stuff as you can for the least amount of money. Usually if you read, it takes about 5 minutes to peruse, and you'll notice what you like and what you don't like. Usually if you're going into comics, you usually have a sense of big characters. So what I did personally, I wanted to know the history of Batman. Me personally. So what I did was I went and bought the Batman Omnibuses. The Omnibuses, if you can afford them, now you might want to wait because some of them are expensive, but some of them are not. Some of them are like $30. If that's expensive to you, then I can understand that. Yes, it might not be a practical thing to read, but if you're only in it for the knowledge and for the wanting to read the comics, those are great to have. If you want it for collecting, they might not be the most practical thing. They take up a lot of space. They're big, but I personally love them. I love them. Because I'm not worried about getting each individual issue anymore, or a trade with 6 issues in it. I just want these big bastards and can read them every night. That's what I do Bat Bits with, is the omnibuses. I use those. I write my notes to how to summarize a page, and boom. There's also Marvel Unlimited. There's a bunch of digital services that you can use that you can pick and choose which ones that you want to do. So there's a ton of different ways to get back into comics. You can go on forums or Reddit, and you could start asking questions like, hey, I would like to start reading The Flash. What would be a good starting point for Flash? You can go on Facebook, join a Facebook group, join any type of comic group, ask someone and say, this is kind of what I'm into. This is the type of story I'm looking for. And people will recommend it to you. The comic book people, while they can be snobby, if you go to them and you ask, they will tell you. They're very knowledgeable of comics, and we want this medium to survive because it's dying out, and it's sad because there's still some great stories to be told. Now, you will have people that only like old comics, and they'll tell you that the new ones suck, and that's just not true. That's just not true. While there may not be that feel of the old school paper and it not being digitally drawn, you could tell this was drawn by hand and colored by hand and stuff like that. And while yes, the comics are drawn by hand, they're on these crazy weird iPad looking things, and it's all very, very high tech. It almost loses a little bit of character to it. But the art, some of the guys are fantastic. You can go by artist or by writer. You might find out, like me personally, I like Jeff Johns. Not a lot of people either love him or hate him. I love him. His stuff with Green Lantern is brilliant. I never thought that I would read that much Green Lantern, and I blew through those. I blew through all 3 of those omnibuses in less than 2 weeks. And the Flash, so it made me go pick up his Flash stuff. I heard about the 3 Jokers because at the time I was looking for information about the Joker movie, and I was Googling Joker, and it had come up 3 Jokers in an article, and I was just like, there's 3 of them now? What the hell? But there's all sorts of different ways, but you won't know until you ask. It might seem daunting, right? It might seem daunting, but once you get something that you like and something that sticks to you, because you might say, hey, I like Spider-Man, but you don't know which run to get. You don't know which one's your favorite. So you could use YouTube and Google to find out kind of what you're into. And once you find that niche that you're into, you'll start buying them. What happened for me is I went to Walmart one day, and I wasn't even looking for anything. I was going to, I think for my son, I was buying toys, and I just happened to find these 2 right here. They were there for $5 a piece. It was The Death of Superman and Batman Under the Red Hood. It was the full graphic novels, plus it came with a Blu-ray and a DVD of the animated feature that was adapted from it. And that's another way to do it. You can find the DC animated movies, and usually they have something that derived from there, or it was adapted from something. Same with the Superman, The Death of Superman. This one had the first DC AU movie, Superman Doomsday, in it. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. I spent $10. I got 2 really cool comics and 2 cool movies. And I was like, that's really neat. You don't always have to go buy it right on release day and get the most, expensive thing ever. You can always find deals everywhere. Now, if you're buying single issues, I would advise to pre-order, like maybe Amazon or your comic book store if you can. If you have a comic book store, always go to brick and mortar stores so you can help support them, because that would be great, because you always get the best price usually on release day for single issues. So like I was saying, how I found Jonathan Hickman by random. You start talking to people that read comics and asking them, you ask them, this is kind of what I'm into, what do you suggest? And then you go out and you read it. Me personally, I would ask someone in a forum or ask someone like on YouTube or something, hey, I'm kind of into this type of storytelling. What do you suggest? I would go and buy it from Comixology digitally. That way you don't feel that you wasted your money and are stuck with a book that you don't like. And then when you find something you like, then you start looking at Amazon or your comic book store or something like that and start buying the physical copies if that's what you want to do, is collect. I like collecting, but I'm more into just, this is how I consumed comics when I was reading them, so this is what I want. I don't mind the digital ones there. I do have a lot of digital stuff on my iPad. I have a giant iPad, and I have tons of comics on there, and it's great. It's great to read in bed with the lights off. My wife can go to sleep, and I can turn off the lights and read. So back to the Hickman thing. I got really into Hickman, and when I heard Hickman was doing X-Men, I know he's off of it, or I don't really know. It's up in there. I have no idea. I started buying the X-Men stuff, and what I did was I wanted to read the whole run because they had a bunch of different X titles. So I wanted to read the whole thing. I didn't want to just read X-Men. I wanted to read X-Force, X-Factor, Marauders, Hellions, everything. So I went and I started buying each volume. Now you could wait and buy an omnibus of all of it, but I wanted to buy it as they came out. So I went and bought volumes 1 through 16 of Dawn of X. And also going onto Google, say you want the Dawn of X, you want to read the X-Men. You can always type in X-Men reading order, and it will bring up a whole bunch of different lists. Say, I want to read Days of Future Past. Type in Days of Future Past reading order, and it'll tell you exactly which comic that you need, or which volume, or if there's a trade paperback, or if there's an omnibus of it. So this Dawn of X led into Ten of Swords. So I bought the collected edition hardback. This has the whole thing in it, all the tie-ins, everything. So I was like, okay, cool. Then afterwards was the Reign of X, and I've got the first 4 volumes so far. I believe they're on volume 6 at the moment. And it's just so happens that today I got an Amazon package. So what's really cool about this is I bought the other 2. So it's 5 and 6. I bought 5 and 6 of Reign of X. And I only spent $7.99 on these. I look at other places and they're like $17, $18. But I jumped on it. I waited and I got it during pre-order. Because once it goes on sale, the price jumps up. So I bought them on pre-order. So now I got 1 through 6 of Reign of X. So when I get done with 10 of Swords, which I'm reading right now, I can go right to the Reign of X. There's a lot of research that goes into this. And the Batman Omnibus Golden Age Volume 4 was on sale. The most expensive thing that I ever bought was the first Batman Omnibus. It was $80. But for me, it was worth it because I'm doing the Bat-Bit show and I just love Batman. But this one, the further you go down, this 4th one right here, $29.99. $29.99. And it has Batman the Golden Age Volume 4 collects all of the Dark Knight Detectives tales from Detective Comics 93 through 112, Batman 26 through 35, World's Finest Comics 15 through 22. So there's 7, 9, 16 plus 19. That is 35. That's 35 comics that you get in here. And look at this cover, how great it is. The old school art with Batman and Robin and the Joker and the Penguin. This is fantastic, guys. Like, that's amazing right there. And I got volume 3 coming because I had up to volume I think 5 or 6, but I actually gave some to a friend for his birthday and one as a Christmas present because I thought this would be something cool for them to have. So that's kind of how I do it. I go through Amazon. Hey, sorry for this camera angle and stuff, but I just wanted to show this because this came today. This is another one that I got for cheap from Amazon. It's in the volume 3 omnibus for the Batman. This is a really cool cover. And we're going to check this out just a little bit. Hold on one sec. So for those of you getting back into comics, this, like I said, these Batman omnibuses are a real good way. Now granted, like I said, they're not the cheapest thing, but you get a lot of value for your money. And plus, look at these pages. Look how amazing these pages are. And you get quite a bit with them. I mean, look at this. You get all of these comics. And look at that. All those bold headings are individual comics. Look at that. All encapsulated in this book. Plus you get the old style art. And look at these covers, how awesome they are. I mean, this is just classic. So yeah, we can add that one to the 1 through 4. Now I just got to get my 5 and 6 back. Or I go through stores like Ollie's. Ollie's has so much stuff, guys. If you have an Ollie's anywhere near you, Ollies, just Google it and type in near me. Flea markets, all that type of stuff. It's very easy to find certain things. Now, if you live in the middle of nowhere and you don't know what to do, subscribe to my channel. That's kind of what this channel is about. It's about a guy who read comics from like 1988 up to 1997, 98, and then just stopped. Dead stopped. And had got back into about 4 years ago. And man, the continuity, everything had changed. Everything was so different. And I'm just a regular guy like you. There's a lot of people on YouTube that are like experts. And they'll say a whole bunch of stuff like, oh, it's just this easy to do. And I know this, and this. It's like, well, maybe I don't, So maybe subscribe to my channel and we could start talking. And if you like something that I like, I could tell you how I got it, how much it was, and we can do this together. I would like to have new comic fans and lapsed comic fans, because I think it would be a lot of fun to do this and talk and have a great time. So I am on another channel called the Pop Culture Project. That's where the lapsed comic fan had started, but getting back into comics is a new channel. It's only going to have lapsed comic fan stuff. If you're subscribed to the Pop Culture Project, I hope you subscribe to this. But if you don't, you won't miss lapsed comic fan. It will still be posted over there. And I have been running a contest for people to win this guy. This is the Dark Knight Returns 30th Anniversary Collected Box Set. It's really, really nice. Now, how do you enter? Well, subscribe to the Pop Culture Project, and I posted a Batman #1, Batman and the Joker. It's called The Joker, just The Joker. But it's the first appearance of the Joker, and it's the first time they ever do battle, and it's a great little story. I love the Golden Age for some reason. I just love it. And you comment on that, and you tell me what's your favorite Batman story. And you're entered. So you have until Thursday night at midnight, Thursday 11:59, and then boop, when Friday hits, That's whenever I will stop taking submissions. Even then, you might still be able to get in. I'm not sure, because right now there's only 3 people that are entered. So you have a very good chance to win, because I'm going to pick the comment. And if enough people enter, I'll make it random. And when I do drawings, I do them live. I will set up a live stream on YouTube. I put the names in a random generator and boop, spin it. And there you go. So this thing's awesome, guys. You get the Dark Knight Returns mask and the graphic novel. So there you go. If you are new and you want to read something or get into something, here you go. If you've never read anything before, then I can understand you not knowing what your favorite Batman storyline is. But if you are new and you have maybe seen the Batman animated series or anything like that, just comment and we'll see how it goes. Because like I said, I don't have many people that have commented. For the ones that did, I appreciate you very much. I really do. I've really been trying to get this channel off the ground over at the Pop Culture Project, and YouTube just hates me. It just hates me. It doesn't do anything for me, but I'm still going to continue to do it because I enjoy it. And I hope that this helped at all. I know I'm a little bit scatterbrained, but that's honestly what I did and how I got back into comics. I basically started looking and asking people, hey, what's Batman been up to? What's a really good Batman run that happened in the past 15 years? Hey, what about the X-Men? What are they doing? What are they doing? And then talking to people, like-minded people that read comics, they're a very good source of information. That's kind of why I want to have a bunch of subscribers. And even if I only get 100 or a couple hundred, as long as we comment and we talk to each other, this could be a really good tool for people that are trying to get into comics or people who are lapsed like I was. Well, anyway, I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And if you didn't, tell me I suck. It'd still be fun anyway. All right, have a good night. And hey, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all that stuff. Me and John over at the Pop Culture Project will be doing a Christmas show, and we will be doing a live drawing for the comic 10 packs. So if you go over to the Pop Culture Project, which there is a subscribe button and a link button in the description for the video. If you go to our latest Pop Culture Roundup, I believe it's about the South Park post-Coof special. And It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Wheel of Time episode 5, and Hawkeye episode 3 or 4, I can't remember. But I think it was 3. You can go ahead and comment on that video. Watch the video and comment and tell us something, what you thought about what we said, and you will be entered to win. These are 10 packs you get from Ollie's. They're just random. Random as hell. I open a bunch of them. If you go on the Pop Culture Project and look, me and John open tons of comic books every week, and we're going to give a ton of stuff away, guys. I got so much stuff to give away, and nobody signing up, nobody's subscribing. So if you do, you have a very good chance to win. Our giveaways are legit. You give me your email information. I don't give anything out, and I give you all the updates, and I ship it out UPS or FedEx. I don't use just regular mail service, and you get your tracking number, and I do insurance on the box. So, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.